In the distant future, where humans and alien civilizations coexist uneasily, Captain Alex Carter piloted his solitary scout ship through a dangerous asteroid field. The emergency distress signal his computer picked up came from a region often avoided, filled with debris from ancient battles. As his scanners honed in on the source, Alex's heart raced. The downed alien vessel floated lifelessly among the rocks, its signal fading rapidly. With a sense of both duty and caution, Alex maneuvered his ship closer. Through the jagged wreckage, he saw her. A strange, ethereal creature. An alien woman with silver-blue skin lay motionless inside the shattered hull. Her biosuit flickered, life support failing fast. His instincts told him to stay away. Alien encounters were always unpredictable, but as he stared at her fading form, something deep within him stirred. Not today, he thought. He couldn't abandon someone in need. Activating the docking thrusters, Alex latched his ship to the alien vessel. He grabbed his helmet and prepared for the treacherous spacewalk. The cold void of space embraced him as he drifted toward the wreck. Once inside, he quickly assessed her condition. Multiple fractures, oxygen running low, her vitals dangerously weak. He attached his emergency life support kit to her suit and carefully freed her from the tangled wreckage. The alien stirred faintly, her glowing silver eyes opening for a moment. "Human," she whispered in a voice that sounded both curious and exhausted. Alex offered a reassuring nod and pulled her to safety, activating his thrusters to glide them both back to his ship. Once inside, he secured her in the med bay. "Hang in there," Alex whispered, as if she could understand him. He plotted a course for the nearest outpost, knowing time was running out. As the engines roared to life, the alien woman stirred again. Her glowing eyes fixed on him as she spoke in a trembling, disoriented voice. "Thank you, but I cannot make it like this." Alex frowned. "You'll make it, just rest." Her hand weakly grasped his wrist. "There is a way. You must be inside me." The words left Alex stunned. His heart skipped a beat as he tried to decipher her meaning. But before he could respond, her hand slipped away, and she drifted back into unconsciousness. Alex sat stunned, the alien woman's words reverberating in his mind. "Be inside me." He shook his head, trying to shake the confusion away. Surely she didn't mean what it sounded like. But there was no time to dwell on her cryptic request. Her life signs were fading fast. He rechecked the instruments, frustration welling within him. The emergency med kit barely stabilized her condition. He needed to reach the outpost soon, but it was still several hours away, and her vitals kept dropping. Alex clenched his fists. "Think, damn it. There has to be a way." Then it hit him, a risky idea, but the only option. His ship's cryo chamber could keep her in stasis, halting her deterioration until they reached the outpost. But there was one problem. It was designed for human physiology, and the interface required bio-link synchronization. A process that only worked if someone shared neural input with the patient. "Be inside me." Her words echoed again, and Alex realized what she had meant. The synchronization would mean more than just medical assistance. It would require a direct mental connection between them, sharing consciousness in a way no human had ever attempted with an alien. It wasn't just invasive, it was dangerous. But he had no choice. Alex knelt beside her limp form. "I hope this is what you meant," he whispered. With a deep breath, he connected the cryo system's neural cables to both of their suits. As the system hummed to life, his mind blurred, and a wave of dizziness hit him like a tidal wave. His thoughts scattered, then coalesced into something strange, alien, yet oddly familiar. Suddenly, Alex was somewhere else. He floated in a vast mental landscape of shimmering light and fragmented memories. Swirls of emotions, fear, gratitude, and sorrow, washed over him, none of them his own. And then, she was there. Her consciousness brushed against his, delicate and curious. "You are human," her voice resonated through his mind. Though not in words, it was more like a feeling, an understanding shared between them. "Yes," Alex responded, unsure if she could truly understand. She drifted closer in this strange mental space, her presence warm yet heavy with sadness. "My name is Elira. If I would die alone out there." "Not today," Alex thought, and he felt her smile, a small, fragile thing wrapped in gratitude. Then the connection deepened, and their thoughts intertwined. Alex saw glimpses of her world, an alien planet bathed in twin suns, vast cities that shimmered like glass, and memories of a desperate escape from enemies who had destroyed her ship. He felt her pain and fear, the isolation of being adrift in space, knowing she might never be found. But Elira also saw him, his memories of Earth, his training, the sense of duty that had driven him to rescue her. For a moment, they weren't human and alien. They were simply two beings, connected by the shared will to survive. Alex gasped as he returned to consciousness in the ship's medbay. The neural connection disengaged with a soft chime, leaving behind an odd sense of emptiness. Elira's breathing had stabilized, her vitals no longer critical. She was alive, for now. He leaned back, his heart pounding from the intensity of the experience. He had never felt anything like that before, and part of him hoped he never would again. But it had worked. They had bought enough time to reach the outpost. Just as Alex was about to plot the final leg of the journey, an alarm blared across the cockpit. His radar lit up with an incoming signal. A hostile ship, closing fast. His stomach dropped. A red icon appeared on the screen, identifying the vessel. It was an enemy scout from Elira's world, hunting her down. "Damn it," Alex muttered, slamming his fist on the control panel. He needed to act fast. Elira stirred behind him, her silver eyes fluttering open. She sat up slowly, wincing at the pain. "They've found me," she whispered, glancing at the radar screen. "You must leave me. Save yourself." "Not a chance," Alex shot back. "I didn't rescue you just to abandon you now." Her expression softened, a flicker of disbelief in her gaze. "Why would you risk everything for me?" "Because that's what humans do." Alex gave her a small, determined smile. "We don't leave people behind." Elira stared at him, as if seeing him for the first time. Then she nodded, a new sense of resolve in her gaze. "If we are to survive, we must face them together." Alex's mind raced as he and Elira prepared for the encounter. With the enemy ship closing in, they had only minutes to act. Elira, still weak but determined, took a seat at the co-pilot station. "They won't expect us to fight back," she said, her voice steady. "That's our advantage." A plan began to form in Alex's mind. Reckless, dangerous, but their only shot. "We'll lure them through the asteroid field," he explained, "and use the debris as cover. If we time it right, we can force them into a collision." Elira gave a faint smile. "You humans are bold. You have no idea," Alex replied, already firing up the ship's thrusters. The enemy vessel loomed closer, its weapon systems locking onto them. Alex gripped the controls, adrenaline flooding his veins. "Hold on," he muttered, throwing the ship into a sharp dive toward the dense asteroid field. The chase was on. Alex's hands flew across the control panel as his ship darted between massive chunks of rock, debris scattering in his wake. The enemy scout ship pursued relentlessly, its sleek design cutting through space like a knife. Elira monitored the radar from the co-pilot station, her expression tense but composed. "They're closing in," she warned, her silver eyes flickering with focus. Alex grinned despite the odds. "Good. Let them get close." With every maneuver, Alex led their pursuers deeper into the asteroid field, where enormous rocks drifted dangerously close to one another. This was no place for delicate flying. It required precision. and a whole lot of guts. Elira's gaze flicked between the radar and the view ahead. Humans, you are either fearless or insane. Alex laughed, the rush of adrenaline making him feel alive. Little of both. The pursuing ship opened fire, laser bolts sizzling past them, narrowly missing the hull. Alex threw the ship into a barrel roll, narrowly avoiding another burst of plasma. The controls vibrated violently under his grip. Elira winced, gripping the seat as they plunged into a narrow canyon of rock. The enemy ship followed, trying to keep pace, its weapons glowing ominously. "We can't outrun them forever," Elira muttered, sweat glistening on her brow. "We won't have to," Alex replied. His eyes locked on a massive asteroid drifting ahead, its surface fractured and unstable. He saw the opportunity. A narrow opening, just big enough for his ship to fit through. "Hang on," Alex barked, yanking the control stick. The ship shot toward the gap in the asteroid, squeezing through just as it shifted slightly, scraping against the hull. Behind them, the enemy scout wasn't so lucky. The asteroid shifted just as it approached, slamming into the side of their pursuer with a deafening crunch. The enemy vessel spun out of control, its hull ruptured by the impact. Explosions rippled along its frame, and within moments, it was swallowed by the darkness of space. Alex whooped, relief flooding him. That's one way to take out the trash. Elira exhaled, faint smile playing on her lips. Impressive, Captain. But the danger wasn't over yet. Just as Alex was about to relax, another warning flashed on the console. More enemy ships, this time larger and closing fast. "We've got company," Alex muttered, glancing at Elira. "Any more ideas?" Elira hesitated. Then her expression hardened. "Yes, but it will require trust and a leap of faith." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Trust? Just saved your life twice. What's next?" Elira leaned closer, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "I know a place we can hide, an ancient station, abandoned long ago. My people don't know it still exists, but we need to link our ships together." Alex blinked. "Link our ships?" "Yes," Elira said urgently. "With both of our systems synchronized, we can create a false signal, mask our presence, and trick their scanners. But you'll need to trust me." Alex hesitated. Sensing their ships meant granting Elira access to all of his systems, and vice versa. If she turned out to be an enemy, she could easily take over his ship, leaving him stranded or worse. But the alternative was certain death. "All right," Alex said at last, gripping the controls. "Let's do it." Working in sync, Alex and Elira began the delicate process of linking their ships. The control panel lit up with a stream of alien symbols, overlapping with human command codes. It was strange, alien and human technology working in perfect harmony. "I've never done anything like this before," Alex admitted, watching the systems align. Elira smiled faintly. "Neither have I, but it feels right." With the synchronization complete, the two ships activated their stealth mode. Their signal vanished from the enemy's scanners just as the pursuing ships swept into the asteroid field. The larger vessels drifted aimlessly, scanning the area, unaware that Alex and Elira were right under their noses. "It's working," Alex whispered, his heart racing. They floated silently in the asteroid's shadow, the only sound the hum of their combined engines. Minutes stretched into eternity as the enemy ships searched the field. Then, one by one, they turned away, retreating back into the void. Alex let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "We did it." Elira leaned back in her seat, her silver eyes softening. "Yes, together." The crisis averted, Alex set a course for the hidden station Elira had mentioned. As the ship glided through the vastness of space, a quiet camaraderie settled between them. "So," Alex began after a moment, "what's the story with you? Why were they after you?" Illyra's expression darkened, shadows flickering in her gaze. I was part of a resistance movement, trying to break free from an oppressive regime, but they discovered us. My ship was the last to escape, or so I thought. Alex nodded slowly, understanding her plight. Sounds like we've got more in common than I thought. Illyra gave him a curious look. What do you mean? Humans, Alex said with a grin. We've never been great at doing what we're told, either. For the first time since their encounter, Illyra laughed. A sound like a soft chime, full of warmth and relief. As they approached the hidden station, Alex felt a strange sense of peace. They were still far from safe, but for the first time in a long while, he wasn't alone, and neither was she. I never thought I'd say this, Illyra murmured as the station loomed ahead, but I'm glad it was a human who found me. Alex smiled. Me too. The ancient station drifted quietly in the void, hidden in the shadow of a dying star. Its structure was massive, covered in metallic vines of rust and forgotten technology. Long abandoned, the station gave off no energy readings, making it invisible to all but the keenest of explorers, or those who already knew it was there. Illyra guided Alex's ship into one of the docking bays, her hand steady on the console, despite her earlier fatigue. They won't find us here, she said quietly. We'll be safe, for now. The docking clamps locked into place with a heavy clang, and Alex shut down the engines. Safe is good, he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Now what? Illyra's gaze softened. Now we rest. There's much to discuss, and I owe you my thanks. Alex raised an eyebrow. You already thanked me. She smiled faintly. Not properly. Inside the station, the air was thin but breathable. Alex and Illyra moved through the dark corridors, their steps echoing in the eerie silence. Broken terminals lined the walls, their screens flickering with faint, unreadable symbols. This place used to belong to the vendor, Illyra explained as they explored. A nomadic race that vanished centuries ago. They built these stations to study the stars. But when the star systems around them died, so did their curiosity. Alex scanned the area cautiously. It's quiet. Too quiet. Illyra glanced at him, her silver eyes twinkling slightly. Humans always seem uncomfortable with silence. He shrugged. We like noise. Makes us feel alive. Her smile lingered as they reached a control room, where Alex began running diagnostics on their systems. They both knew their time here was limited. Their enemies wouldn't stop hunting them, and the station's ancient technology wasn't exactly reliable. As Alex worked, Illyra stood silently beside him, her gaze distant. After a moment, she spoke, her voice low. You didn't have to save me. Alex glanced at her. I know. Why did you? She asked, genuinely curious. He thought for a moment, then gave a small shrug. Because it was the right thing to do. Illyra stared at him, as if trying to understand something about him, or maybe about herself. Your people, you are strange, reckless, but kind. We try, Alex said with a grin, most of the time. Later, as they rested in the dim light of the control room, Illyra shifted uncomfortably, her expression troubled. There is something you should know. Alex sat up, sensing the weight in her voice. What is it? The ones chasing me, Illyra began, her voice edged with tension. They're not just after me, they're after what I carry. Alex frowned. What do you mean? She hesitated, then reached into the folds of her suit, pulling out a small, glowing crystal. It pulsed softly, like the heartbeat of a star. This is a core fragment. It contains ancient knowledge, maps, technology, and power. Whoever controls it can reshape entire worlds. Alex's eyes widened. No wonder they're chasing you. Illyra nodded. If they get their hands on this, entire civilizations could fall. Alex whistled low. And here I thought I was just saving a stranded alien. You saved much more than that, Illyra whispered. But we can't keep running. We need to find allies, someone we can trust to help us protect the fragment. Alex leaned back, his mind racing. So, no pressure, huh? Illyra gave him a small, amused smile, though her eyes were still heavy with worry. Trust you, Alex. That's a start. He met her gaze, feeling the weight of her trust. And I trust you, Illyra. For a moment, they sat in companionable silence, two unlikely allies bound by fate and circumstance. But beneath the quiet, they both knew their journey was far from over. Suddenly, the console in front of them flickered to life, and a proximity alert blared across the room. Alex shot to his feet. What now? Illyra's expression darkened. They've found us. Alex's heart pounded as the station's ancient alarms blared through the empty corridors. The proximity alert showed several ships converging on their location. The enemy had tracked them down, and they had mere minutes before they were cornered. They're locking down the exits, Illyra muttered, her hands flying across the control panel. The faint pulse of the crystal fragment glowed from where she had tucked it safely into her suit. Alex leaned over her, scanning the tactical readout. They'll board the station soon. We need to move, fast. Illyra's expression remained calm, though a flicker of frustration crossed her face. There's only one way out, she whispered. And it's a dangerous one. I'm all ears, Alex said, adrenaline surging through his veins. There's a secondary hangar deep within the station, but it's unstable, Illyra explained. We'd have to manually vent the station's atmosphere to use it. And if anything goes wrong, we won't make it. Alex gave her a sharp grin. Sounds like my kind of plan. They sprinted through the station's dimly lit corridors, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The walls groaned with age as they passed, and faint sparks flickered from old wiring. Behind them, the enemy ships began docking, and the hiss of boarding clamps echoed through the metal frame. We don't have much time, Illyra urged, her silver eyes glowing faintly with tension. As they reached the secondary hangar, Alex saw the problem. The outer doors were sealed shut, covered in years of corrosion. The control panel beside it flickered weakly, barely functional. Can you get it open? Alex asked, breathless. Illyra knelt by the panel, prying it open with swift precision. I can try, but if the pressure release malfunctions, the whole place could decompress. Alex knelt beside her, helping to bypass the rusted circuits. If we don't try, we're dead anyway. They worked in tandem, the strange partnership between human and alien proving unexpectedly smooth. Despite the urgency, there was an unspoken trust between them, a bond forged in the fires of survival. Just as they unlocked the final override, the station shuddered. Heavy footsteps echoed from the entrance to the hangar. Alex turned to see several armed figures, hunters from Illyra's pursuers, emerge from the shadows, their weapons aimed directly at them. The leader of the group, a tall alien with jagged armor, stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with malice. Illyra, he sneered, you've run long enough. Illyra's expression hardened. I won't let you have the fragment. The leader chuckled darkly. You won't have a choice. He turned his gaze to Alex, eyes narrowing. And you, human, you've meddled in matters far beyond your understanding. Alex squared his shoulders, stepping protectively in front of Illyra. Yeah, well, get used to it. The alien leader raised his weapon, but before he could fire, Illyra grabbed Alex's hand and slammed her palm against the control panel. With a deafening hiss, the hangar doors began to open, and the station's atmosphere vented violently into space. The sudden loss of pressure threw everything into chaos. The enemy hunters were sucked toward the open void, scrambling desperately to hold on to anything they could. Alex and Illyra braced themselves against the walls, their oxygen masks locking into place just in time. Go, Illyra shouted, grabbing Alex's arm and dragging him toward a small emergency shuttle docked in the corner of the hangar. The hunters howled in rage as they were pulled into the black abyss, disappearing into the vastness of space. Alex and Elira dove into the shuttle, sealing the airlock behind them just as the last of the atmosphere vented from the hangar. "Strap in," Alex barked, racing to the controls. Elira took the co-pilot seat, her hands steady despite the chaos. Engines online. Launching now. With a powerful jolt, the shuttle blasted out of the hangar, weaving between debris and enemy ships still circling the station. Alarms blared across the console, but Alex kept his focus sharp, dodging laser fire as they made their escape. Elira activated the ship's stealth systems, and the shuttle disappeared from the enemy's sensors just as they reached the safety of open space. They drifted in silence for a moment, the tension slowly ebbing away. "That was reckless," Elira murmured, though there was a hint of admiration in her voice. Alex grinned, catching his breath. "You're welcome." As they drifted through the quiet void, Elira removed her oxygen mask and leaned back in her seat, her expression pensive. "There's something I need to tell you, Alex." He glanced at her, his smile fading at the seriousness in her tone. "What is it?" Elira hesitated, then spoke softly. "The fragment. It's not just a tool. It's alive. A consciousness born from the knowledge it carries. And it chose you." Alex blinked, taken aback. "What do you mean it chose me?" "The fragment saw something in you," Elira explained. "Something rare. It connected with you during the synchronization. That's why we survived." Alex rubbed the back of his neck, processing the weight of her words. "So, what happens now?" Elira smiled faintly. "Now, we find a place to hide, and we figure out what the fragment wants." The shuttle drifted silently through the vast expanse of space, stars glimmering like distant memories. Alex sat in the pilot's seat, his thoughts racing. Elira's words echoed in his mind. "The fragment chose you. It wasn't just a relic of ancient knowledge. It had bonded with him, connected in ways he couldn't yet comprehend." Elira rested beside him, her silver-blue skin glowing softly in the dim cockpit light. She studied Alex with a quiet intensity, as if weighing whether or not to tell him more. "We can't run forever," Alex muttered, breaking the silence. "What does the fragment want from me?" Elira shifted, her voice calm but serious. "The fragment contains more than maps and technology. It holds the last remnants of an ancient race's consciousness, a collective mind. They chose to sleep within the fragment, waiting for someone worthy to awaken them." Alex raised an eyebrow. "And somehow, that's me." "Yes," Elira replied with a faint smile. "You have a rare trait, Alex. Curiosity. You act not for power or profit, but because you want to know what lies beyond the next horizon. That's why the fragment reached out to you." Alex leaned back in his seat, exhaling slowly. "So what? I'm supposed to carry this thing around and hope it doesn't blow up in my face?" Elira chuckled softly. "Something like that. But there's more. Once awakened, the fragment's consciousness can change everything. Technology, society, even the fabric of reality itself." Alex whistled low, the weight of their situation settling over him. "Great, no pressure." Elira's gaze softened. "We can still walk away, Alex. Hide somewhere far from here. No one would ever know." Alex shook his head, a determined glint in his eyes. "No chance. If this thing has the power to change the universe, I'm not handing it over to anyone who'd use it for the wrong reasons." The cockpit remained silent for a while, the hum of the engines the only sound. Then a soft pulse of light emitted from the fragment, glowing faintly beneath Elira's suit. "It responds to your thoughts," Elira whispered, watching the fragment closely. "It senses your resolve." Alex stared at the light, fascinated. The connection between him and the fragment wasn't just theoretical, it was real, alive. "What happens if we awaken it?" Alex asked, curiosity and caution intertwining. Hilira hesitated. If it senses your intent is pure, it will grant access to unimaginable knowledge. But there's a catch. There's always a catch. Alex muttered. What is it? Hilira's silver eyes met his, solemn and unwavering. The knowledge comes at a price. It will alter you, mind and soul. You may not be the same person afterward. Alex let that sink in. The thought of being changed, possibly forever, weighed heavily on him. But deep down, he knew there was no turning back. All right, he said quietly. Let's find out what's inside. Hilira nodded, her expression a mix of relief and admiration. She guided Alex through the process of awakening the fragment. It required more than just pressing buttons or reciting commands. It demanded intention, pure, unfiltered purpose. Alex placed his hand over the fragment, feeling a strange warmth radiate from it. His thoughts aligned, not with fear, but with curiosity and a sense of responsibility. Show me what you hold, he thought. The fragment pulsed brighter, flooding the cockpit with soft, golden light. In that moment, Alex felt something shift inside him. A spark, like the beginning of a dream he couldn't quite grasp. His mind expanded, glimpsing fragments of distant galaxies, lost civilizations, and the secrets of the universe. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the light dimmed, leaving Alex breathless. He blinked, disoriented but somehow different. Hilira studied him, concern flickering in her gaze. How do you feel? Alex paused, searching for the right words. I feel awake. Like I've been asleep my whole life and just now opened my eyes. Hilira smiled, though there was a hint of sadness in her expression. The awakening is only the beginning. Before Alex could respond, the ship's console beeped. An incoming transmission. Hilira frowned, glancing at the screen. It's not from the enemy. Alex leaned forward, opening the channel. Holographic figure flickered to life. A human admiral with a stern expression. Captain Carter, the admiral said, you've got something valuable aboard that shuttle. Surrender it now, and we'll ensure your safety. Alex's jaw tightened. And if I say no? The admiral's eyes hardened. Then we'll take it by force. Hilira turned to Alex, her voice low but firm. They can't have it. You know what they'll do. Alex nodded. His mind raced, calculating their options. He glanced at the fragment, still pulsing faintly, as if waiting for his decision. Time to make a choice. Alex muttered, gripping the controls. Are you with me? Hilira smiled, the kind of smile that only comes from someone ready to face whatever lies ahead. Always. With a flick of the switch, Alex cut the transmission and activated the ship's engines. No more running, he whispered, determination burning in his eyes. We fight. The shuttle roared to life as Alex engaged the thrusters, sending them hurtling through the black expanse of space. The human admiral's fleet loomed ahead, massive warships bristling with weapons, blocking every escape route. Behind them, the alien hunters regrouped, ready to reclaim the fragment by force. We're surrounded, Hilira muttered, her hands gripping the console. We can't fight them all. We won't fight them, Alex said, a dangerous glint in his eyes. Not conventionally. Hilira gave him a puzzled glance. Then what are you planning? Alex pointed to the glowing fragment nestled beside her. We're going to use it. All of it. Her silver blue eyes widened. You'll lose yourself if you tap into that much power. I don't care, Alex interrupted, his voice calm but resolute. If it means stopping both of them from getting their hands on it, it's worth the risk. For a moment, Hilira stared at him, torn between fear and admiration. Finally, she gave a small nod. Then I'll be with you, to the end. Alex placed his hands over the fragment, his mind reaching out to the consciousness within. He felt it stir, vast and ancient, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. I need your power, he thought. Help me stop them, or everything will be lost. The fragment pulsed brighter, answering his call. Waves of energy coursed through Alex's body, lighting every nerve on fire. His thoughts expanded beyond the physical world. He could see the fleets converging, hear the engines hum, feel the minds of every pilot and soldier preparing for battle. His vision blurred as reality itself shifted around him. Illyra gasped beside him, gripping his arm as the fragment's energy surged through both of them, binding them together in a shared consciousness. We are with you, the ancient voice of the fragment whispered in Alex's mind. Guide us. With a clarity he had never known, Alex guided the shuttle straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. The Admiral's voice crackled over the comms, barking orders to fire, but the moment the weapons locked onto their shuttle, Alex unleashed the fragment's power. Time seemed to slow as a brilliant wave of light erupted from the fragment, washing over the ships like a solar flare. Systems shut down instantly, engines sputtered, weapons fell silent, and communication lines went dead. The entire fleet was paralyzed, frozen in place by the overwhelming surge of energy. The alien hunters suffered the same fate, their ships spiraling into chaos as their systems flickered and died. In the midst of the chaos, Alex and Illyra's shuttle remained untouched, gliding through the immobilized fleets like a ghost. Inside the shuttle, Alex's mind wavered under the strain. The fragment's power was immense, and it threatened to consume him entirely. His thoughts blurred with memories that weren't his own, ancient knowledge, forgotten wars, and the endless expanse of the cosmos. Illyra reached out, placing her hand over his. Stay with me, Alex. Don't let it take you. Her voice grounded him, pulling him back from the brink. With her presence anchoring him, Alex focused, channeling the fragment's power one last time. A pulse of light radiated from the shuttle, carrying a message that echoed across the minds of every being in the area. A command, simple and absolute. Leave us. The human admiral felt it, as did the alien hunters. For a brief moment, they all shared Alex's vision of peace, of a universe unchained from conflict and greed. And in that moment, they understood. The fleets turned away, retreating silently into the void. No weapons fired, no more words exchanged. They simply left. As the last of the ships disappeared into the darkness, Alex slumped in his seat, exhausted. The fragment dimmed, its energy spent, and the strange connection between them faded. Illyra placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and steady. You did it, she whispered. Alex gave her a tired smile. We did it. They drifted in silence for a while, the stars stretching endlessly before them. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, there were no enemies, no alarms, no battles to fight. Just the quiet hum of the shuttle and the vast, peaceful expanse of space. So, Illyra said after a moment, her voice soft, what now? Alex leaned back, staring out at the stars. I don't know, but whatever's next, we'll face it together. Illyra smiled, genuine warmth in her gaze. Together. And with that, they set a new course, not toward any particular destination, but toward whatever adventure the universe had in store for them next.